Hey, it's Alyssa, back with another Speedpaint video. This week I'm working on some Mario art, a little bit of a change from other Nintendo franchises like Pokemon or Animal Crossing, but Nintendo all the same. And I wanted to work on a Super Mario 64 piece. It started like probably a month or so ago. I mentioned I was going to work on a Super Mario 64 piece, and I had a few ideas, but I ended up settling on this painting of the cake from the end of Super Mario 64 when you end up beating the game. I wanted to do some fan art of this game very specifically because it's been kind of my go-to comfort thing the last few months, and I'll tell stories about it I guess along the way while the speed paint footage plays in the back. This is just kind of a chill, cozy speed paint video. I've got more Pokemon stuff I'm working on for the next couple weeks, so I'm working on that for probably the next several videos will be me catching up with the Pokemon 151 series. But a slight Nintendo detour here. So like a month or two ago, time's just flying so fast this year, I can't even remember when this happened. Like a month or two ago, I went to a county fair with like one of my best friends, and I ended up passing out from heat exhaustion. It was really stupid. I was just waiting for him to get off of a ride, and it was just really hot out, cement, no shade, and I started thinking, wow, I'm really sweating, and then I started thinking, wow, I really need water, and I got to the booth where they were selling water bottles, and I slumped over the counter like I was like a drunk person, like, give me water, and I handed over a wad of cash, and as soon as the person behind the counter handed the water bottle, I don't even remember this, but I apparently fell directly backwards and hit my head on the concrete pretty good. I didn't have a concussion, thankfully. I guess my extra fluffy hair that day cushioned the blow or something. I just got really lucky. But I did, rest and recover for a few days in bed to make sure I was all right. And in that time, I was trying to do things that didn't require a lot of brain power. It was really weird. I've never had any kind of, head injury or bonk or anything before in my life. But it was really weird because if I started thinking too hard about stuff, I almost felt like I was a computer overheating or something. It was like my brain was telling me, I'm trying to heal. Can you stop thinking for a moment, please? So I napped a lot and whatever, but to do something kind of stress-free and something I didn't need to think about a lot, I wanted something familiar. And I'm not the type of person that rewatches the same comfort YouTube videos or the same shows or whatever. I get bored rewatching stuff. I have a couple friends of mine who will rewatch the same cartoon series over and over in the background as a comfort thing, and I'm sure some of you have your own comfort things you put on in the background, but I don't really have that. I like new stuff. So for me, that came in the form of watching a lot of Super Mario 64 speedrun streams. Because it is the same thing over and over, but it's not, you know what I mean? Especially when it's live. So my favorite speedrunners are Simply and Cheese, who are also here on YouTube. They make a lot of funny videos about Super Mario 64 speedruns and other games that they run and other stuff like that. But I specifically tune into their live streams whenever they're live, and when they weren't live, I'd watch the old ones I hadn't seen before, because it was something that I could put on the background. I know Super Mario 64 inside and out, so it didn't require a lot of thought to watch, but it was still, stimulating enough for me to not be completely bored out of my mind like I would be if I was rewatching a cartoon I'd seen before. So it was this really weirdly comforting background noise / thing to watch that I had while I was stuck in bed drinking Gatorade and stuff for the next couple days. And it got me thinking about how much joy and comfort this particular game has always given me. Since it came out, it was my very first video game that I owned. First console I ever owned was a Nintendo 64. I believe it was my cousin's Nintendo 64. It was the jungle green, see-through one with the green controller. We also had the icy blue see-through controller and a couple really crappy Mad Catz controllers that I don't think we ever used, me and my sister. But we played a lot of Donkey Kong 64, Super Mario 64, Yoshi's Story was one of my favorites. We loved all the games on there. And Super Mario 64 was the first video game I ever sat down and played in earnest. I had been to a pizza place and played Pac-Man or something like that, but I felt like it didn't count because I wasn't trying to beat the game or anything. I was just kind of screwing around with the arcade machine. It felt like more than putting in an earnest effort to achieve a goal or whatever. I still remember being confused about what to do. I remember going to Bob-omb Battlefield and where's King Bob-omb I'm supposed to beat, or where's this bad guy I'm supposed to beat, and what do I do? And when I got to the top of the hill, I was confused, like, what do I do? I didn't understand that you had to like pick him up and throw him or whatever, so I kept getting tossed off the edge. I must have been like 8 years old or something. Like, I didn't know what was going on. I had no exposure to video games before this, so I felt so accomplished when I figured out what to do. And then from there, like, every star I got, I felt like a genius, because like I wasn't looking up walkthroughs or anything like that. I didn't get all 120 stars as a kid. I beat the game as a kid, and I was very excited about that. And I think Super Mario 64 has aged well, but also not. Like, so I don't think it's aged well in the way that Jurassic Park has aged well. You know, the effects in that movie still look pretty cutting edge. Like, you could release that movie today and the effects would look pretty believable, especially compared to some early CG movies. Like, the blend of practical effects with special effects in that movie is still pretty convincing and has held up to the test of time pretty darn well. But Super Mario 64 obviously looks outdated, the gameplay is outdated, but the movement in that game is still so impressive to watch, which is why I love watching speedrunners do it. And I think the atmosphere in the game feels like, obviously it's nostalgic, and of course I have rose-colored glasses because it was my first video game and I grew up with it. But I think even if you didn't grow up with it, the atmosphere of the music and even the very crude environments of the worlds, as low resolution as they are, I think there's something still kind of magical about some of them. I still think Jolly Roger Bay aesthetically holds up. I still think Cool Cool Mountain is a lot of fun to look at. And some of the levels are kind of whatever. But overall, I think the game still has that kind of whimsical charm and magic to it, which is really saying something considering it was like the first big 3D platformer game. I think it's amazing that it's still pretty fun to play, even if you didn't grow up with the nostalgia of it and you just picked it up like last year when they did the Mario All-Stars re-release. I think Tick-Tock Clock might be the worst stage in Mario because not only is it very frustrating, but it's also very ugly, so it's like the worst of both worlds. Also, Rainbow Road is pretty terrible too. Aside from the actual rainbow, the stage is just kind of a mishmash of random gray platforms. It's very ugly considering it should be a very dreamlike stage. So I hate that those, like, the worst stages in the game are at the end, but other than that, I still love the game quite a bit. I just find it so much fun to watch, and I find it so much fun to watch professionals who are, you know, amazing at this game and all the glitches it has. And I can't remember which Mario runner specifically made this comment, if it was Simply or somebody else, but they had said something to the effect of Super Mario 64 is the best speedrunning game of all time. And I think it is. Like, no other speedrun is as satisfying to watch, in my opinion. Then again, I'm highly biased because it is my favorite game, and I'm very familiar with it. But I feel like the movements in Super Mario 64 are so intricate. It's like watching video game gymnastics or something. I don't know. It's so satisfying to watch. It's so satisfying to watch somebody like do an amazing run or get really far into an amazing run. It's so heart-wrenching to see them lose the run. Like, I'm not a sports person, but I get it. Like, when I watch Super Mario 64 speedruns, I get the emotional highs and lows of watching this like peak performance, right? I think it's just such a satisfying, fun game to watch. It's incredibly nostalgic for me, but I think even if you didn't grow up with it, watching the top level runners is just so impressive. The kind of things they can do, and like the speed and accuracy they have to do these like glitches with, along with the perfect movement. Like, there's just so much going on in a perfect Mario run that it's just so engaging to watch to me. I think there's also something about, you know, runners who do the game on a 64 controller, like how janky that controller is and how smooth and elegant they're able to make the movements in spite of how janky that controller can be if it's not like perfectly maintained. I'm sure top runners have their tricks to make their controllers work a little better than others, or they're just better at handling it than others or whatever. But I remember that controller being pretty janky and not fun to use, so it just blows my mind the elegance and speed and accuracy that these people can pull off. And it's been a great source of joy and comfort, especially when I had my little minor head injury that I recovered from. And, you know, moving to a new place has been kind of stressful, exciting but stressful. And I don't know anybody at this new place I've moved to except for the roommate I have. So having a source of like familiar comfort in the form of like, speedrunners that I'm familiar with and a game I'm highly familiar with. It's been a great source of like just comfort and familiarity in a new and exciting time in my life. So I wanted to dedicate at least one little piece of art to it, and I love the little cake at the end. I think it's a nice little way to celebrate winning the game, and I wanted to do something kind of cutesy and simple and fun like this, so I thought this would be a good way to commemorate my love and appreciation for this incredible game. So how about you guys, when you guys need some comfort and familiarity in your life? Do you have a specific streamer that you like to watch, a specific game, movie, TV show, whatever? Let me know in the comments below. I think the next couple of videos I'm going to do, like I said, are going to be Pokemon ones. This is just kind of a chill random video to throw in on my channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.